Freedom Flag 1776 presents this revealing interview of Governor Sarah Palin as featured on Hannity and Combs' show on the Fox News channel. We hope you enjoy this multi-part YouTube presentation.
With Governor Palin herself in a Hannity and Combs exclusive interview. Governor, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. All
right, you said when you were asked to be Senator McCain's running mate that you didn't hesitate, you didn't blink. Tell us about the call when that came.
Well, I found out about the actual selection just a couple days before you guys all did. Getting that nod was quite an experience, of course, because I knew that Senator McCain and his team had been doing a heck of a lot of research and vetting of many names. So, of course, just the utmost honor is what I felt when he actually said, "Do you want to help me do this?" And I said, "Absolutely. Let's get in there and let's reform. Let's shake some things up."
What was your family's reaction? Was that time to huddle and have a hockey team meeting?
It was a time of asking the girls to vote on it anyway, and they voted unanimously yes. Didn't bother asking my son because, you know, he's going to be off doing his thing anyway, so he wouldn't be so impacted by at least the campaign period here. So asked the girls what they thought, and they're like, "Absolutely, let's do this, Mom."
Let's talk about, Governor, obviously the economy is on the minds of many Americans. We got Lehman, we got Merrill, we've got AIG. Senator Barack Obama yesterday was attacking Senator McCain for saying that the fundamentals of the economy are strong. Do you believe that the fundamentals of our economy are strong?
Well, it was an unfair attack on the verbiage that Senator McCain chose to use, because the fundamentals, as he was having to explain afterwards, he means our workforce. He means the ingenuity of the American people. And of course, that is strong, and that is the foundation of our economy. So that was an unfair attack there, again, based on verbiage that John McCain used. Certainly, it is a mess, though. The economy is a mess, and there have been abuses on Wall Street, and that adversely affects Main Street, and it's that commitment that John McCain is articulating today, getting in there, reforming the way that Wall Street has been allowed to work, stopping the abuses, and that violation of the public trust that too many CEOs and top management of some of these companies, that abuse there has got to stop. It is, somebody was saying this morning, a toxic waste there on Wall Street, affecting Main Street, and we've got to cure this.
Through reform.
Through reform, absolutely. Look at the oversight that has been lack, I believe. Here it's a 1930s type of regulatory regime overseeing some of these corporations, and we've got to get a more coordinated and a much more stringent oversight regime. Not that government is going to be solely looked to for the answers in all of the problems in Wall Street, but government can play a very, very appropriate role in the oversight as people are trusting these companies with their life savings, with their investments, with their insurance policies and construction bonds and everything else. When we see the collapse that we're seeing today, you know that something's broken, and John McCain has a great plan to get in there and fix it.
Is Senator Obama then using what happened on Wall Street this week, is he using it for political gain? Is there a danger if a presidential candidate is saying to the world that America's situation, economic crisis, is the worst that we've seen in decades, which was words that he was using yesterday? Is there a danger in terms of the world hearing that?
Well, there's a danger in allowing some obsessive partisanship to get into the issue that we're talking about today. And that's something that John McCain, too, his track record proving that he can work both sides of the aisle. He can surpass the partisanship that must be surpassed to deal with an issue like this. It is that profound and that important an issue that we work together on this and not just let one party try to kind of grab it all, capture it all, and pretend like they have all the answers. It's going to take everybody working together on this.
Who's responsible for these failing institutions in your view?
I think the corruption on Wall Street, that is to blame, and that violation of the public trust, and that contract that should be inherent in corporations who are spending, investing other people's money. The abuse of that is what's got to stop. And it's a matter, too, of some of these CEOs and top management people and shareholders, too, not holding that management accountable, being addicted to, we call it OPM, other people's money, spending that, investing that, not using the prudence that we expect of them. But here again, government's got to play an appropriate role in the stringent oversight, making sure that those abuses stop.
Well, you know, both you and Senator McCain supported the bailout of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. You both opposed the bailout or government intervention as it relates to Lehman or Merrill, but now we read this morning that AIG is going to get some type of government bailout. Was that the right call?
Well, you know, first, Fannie and Freddie, different because quasi-government agencies there where government had to step in because the adverse impacts all across our nation, especially with homeowners, is just too impacting. We had to step in there. I do not like the idea, though, of taxpayers being used to bail out these corporations. Today with AIG, important call there, though, because of the construction bonds and the insurance carrier duties of AIG. But first and foremost, taxpayers cannot be looked to as the bailout, as the solution to the problems on Wall Street.
How connected is it, though, to Washington? You have 354 lawmakers got money from Fannie and Freddie. 354. If you look at the years from 1989 to 2008, the second top recipient was Senator Barack Obama. Should there be an investigation in terms of the relationship between the political donations and then, of course, the bankruptcy that ensued and the impact on the economy?
I think that's significant, but even more significant is the role that the lobbyists play in an issue like this also. And then that cronyism. It's symptomatic of the greater problem that we see right now in Washington, and that is just that acceptance of the status quo, the politics as usual, the cronyism that has been allowed to be accepted and then leads us to a position like we are today with so much collapse on Wall Street. That's the reform that we've got to get in there and make sure that this happens. We've got to put government and these regulatory agencies back on the side of the people. It's what John McCain and we have a very consistent track record showing that we're capable and we're willing to do this. Ruffling feathers along the way, but it's what we're expected to do and what we're promising to do.
You've talked about, and Senator McCain has talked about, you want to eliminate earmarks, that you want to reduce government spending, that you want to keep taxes low, you want to reform government. You've used the term reform a lot. Senator McCain has used the term reform a lot. Many people have gone to Washington, and they've made these promises, especially when it comes to cutting spending, and it doesn't happen. How do you make this happen? Look how partisan it is in Washington right now. How do you get that accomplished?
Yeah, it's gridlock, and that's ridiculous. That's why we don't have an energy policy. That's why there hasn't been the reform of the abuse of the earmark process. And reform is tough, and you do ruffle feathers along the way. But John McCain has that streak of independence in him that I think is very, very important in America today in our leadership. I have that within me also, and that's why John McCain tapped me to be a team of mavericks, of independents coming in there without the allegiances to that cronyism, to that good old boy system. I'm certainly a Washington outsider, and I'm proud of that because I think that that is what we need also as a team member in this on this new team promising the reform. Reform that actually happens is tough, and you can't just talk about it, and you can't just talk about your years of experience in a system, a bureaucratic system. You have to show example, and what I've done is have been able to show example as a mayor, cutting taxes every year that I was in office, as a governor now, suspending our fuel tax recently, getting our handle on the state's budget in Alaska, growing a surplus so that we can return that surplus right back to the people of Alaska, which we've recently done.
Let me go into that. The people of Alaska get, for example, there's no income tax, there's no sales tax in Alaska.
There are in individual communities.
But no state sales tax.
Correct.
The average citizen, if I was a resident of Alaska, you would write me a check every year for $2,069?
Well, depending on how the stock market's doing over the last 5 years, an average.
And then you also gave recently a check, an extra check for $1,200?
I did, because the price of a barrel of oil is so high right now that state coffers are growing, but the family's checkbook is being decimated because of the high cost of energy.
I have to move to Alaska. New York taxes are killing me. So.
Well, what we're doing up there, though, is returning a share of resource development dollars back to the people who own the resources.